Hey guys, how's it going? You're following Christy weight loss journey and keeping with other routines as long as I've got ADHD and all sorts of other excuses not to succeed. So I just quit weed. And honestly, it was this whole crutch method. I've tried to quit before and I've done it successfully. I'm sort of like an on and off person with that. But with a CPTSD, sometimes that's not always possible. Sometimes if I try to quit smoking weed, I start getting anxiety that creeps up day in, day in, day in until I finally snap, and everybody would just rather I just have some weed. But I've been working on that. My methods, some neutral mindset perspectives and things have really been helping me along with that. And once again, I'm coming out with something later to share about that, but it's going well. I basically just haven't been smoking weed. Also, I'm pretty much all but better. My voice is still just a little bit hoarse. There's still just a tiny bit of rattling going on in there. I'm gonna stay away from the weed, probably at least until next weekend. And then I might let myself have a bowl because it's not crack cocaine and I don't like exiting habits with like a negative experience. So I might just give myself like a nice little farewell, before I go ahead and quit on a longer scale term, because I've noticed something and it kind of happened immediately. Within the first day, I was bored out of my mind with all my stuff done. And it's like, as a person who actually advocates medical marijuana as a treatment that's effective for things like anxiety, stress disorders, and even pain disorders, I have to admit that what it's also very, very, very good at is making you okay with being bored. I believe South Park famously accused that. And it's true. Since quitting, and it's only been a couple days, I've been able to catch up on almost everything I needed to do, and I'm actually finding myself restless looking for things to do. So it's a bit of a challenge, but I always try to, focus on the fact that I'm in a transition period. I'm gonna feel bored. I need to pick up more things like exercising and stuff like that more often anyway. And so my brain's just switching from like wanting to draw dopamine from one source into like reallocating it into other healthy places, So if you're in a transition like that, you might want to try taking extra walks, try reading a book, try doing, just kind of anything. I like to go thrift shopping, so I'll run to the store and just look for nothing, even if I don't need anything there. Sometimes I get surprised and still pick up something, like these cute shorts. But things otherwise have been going pretty well. I'm trying to remember what else I wanted to talk about today. We're back onto the bracelet project. I was actually a couple points short yesterday, just because, like I said, I'm still kind of under the weather, a little bit low activity. We did take a nice 3-mile hike in the morning, but it was still just painfully slow, and I still had to take extra breaks and just sit there and just still a little bit of congestion, post sickness, stuff that I've been dealing with, and so I ended up at the end of the day, and I just saw I had so many points, and I was like, oh, you know what I also haven't done, technically, although I mostly eat whatever I want, is like a good cheat meal, and since I basically eat fatty chicken and potatoes and steaks and stuff like that almost every day, outside of my main, day meals, which tend to be like a nice 43 gram of protein, high ultra filtered milk protein shake, and I'll eat like tuna salads with like mostly Greek yogurt with a little squeeze of mayo and things like that. So it's like good macros until the every other day or so when it's not, you have that potato skin on chicken thigh meal that, yes, tasted very good with cheese. So back to the cheat meal. I needed to have a cheat meal. Why? I don't know. My brain told me to have a cheat meal. So I went to Trader Joe's and I got those sour strawberry ribbon snacks. And I don't know if you've ever had the sour ribbon strawberry snacks, but you would make this little hand motion too if you had. They are the best like sour ribbon snack gummies. And they're technically not even like the worst ingredients in the world. So I went there and I had my dinner, but then I still had 4 extra beads. And so I told myself, my cheat meal could just be using up my last 4 beads on, 1 sour band each. So that lets me stop at 4. That seemed like a reasonable amount, and it was a good way to test myself, because normally these particular sour snacks are so good that my silly self eats through the entire box in one night. Even when I try to slow it down, I was having like one every day for a while there, and I got like halfway through the pack. This is before the bracelet project, right? I got like halfway through the pack, and then the next day I was just like, I was having like a low day or something. I was having a moody day, and I think it was because I was on my cycle cravings week, and I literally went through the entire rest of the pack, in one night. That's so that's very, very like me. And unfortunately, that kind of sugar can totally blow like weeks of your progress. And so obviously it did, along with other little slips and cheats and stuff, because my brain just felt so restricted. With the food noise wiped out now and how that is, I got these gummies, I brought them home, I put them in the freezer, pro tip, and so they would taste the best. And I had my dinner, because I didn't want to start with sugar. I always try to start with protein first, so that I don't want to like trigger a weird craving in my stomach. And so I want the protein to kind of like anchor it, and then I can add sugar after that, because that sort of creates this like you're already full, but you're like topped off. It like adds that little sprinkle of dopamine on whatever you just had. So all you just had fat and protein and nutrients and a little sugar, goes a long way at the end of that. So I had my dinner, I had my first sour strip, and then after that, for the life of me, the rest of the night, and I had hours, I just wasn't interested in any more snacks. And that's groundbreaking for me. As a person who snacks like they're gonna die if they don't stop snacking, I literally had one sour strip. I didn't want any more. I had 3 beads left over, which I'm not trying to do. I've been sick, so I'm naturally just kind of not as hungry. And I just kind of went to sleep. I felt great. And so I honestly, just as a little update, I feel like it's not just that I'm getting lack of food noise. It's like I have a whole new mindset and control around food. Something about that restriction causing my brain to reprioritize its needs and its wants. It turned its needs into its wants, because it only had room for so many things. And now it must have just like set that on the back burner so hard that I'm like able to choose to give myself a treat without going overboard. And that's something I've genuinely never experienced before in my life, especially not when dieting. When not dieting, that's different, but that's because there is no bar. But I've never been able to fly under the bar like that, just using my own self-control. And so it's sort of weird. This tracking gave me that power to do. And I really, really hope that that's something that we can spread, that's something that works. What it hasn't done is caused me to work out every morning. I've been doing little stuff, but I mean like the consistency that you need to get, like the toning, like you see these shorts and they're cute, but you can kind of see how the band is cutting in. That's because that's not toned area, it's gotten smaller. Everything's kind of like, everything's, back fat's going away and stuff. Little tweakies here and stuff, and honestly, I think I look fairly decent right now. I'm just trying to get into what I consider my best shape, because I like being able to wear the clothes that I can wear, frankly, that are literally in my closet, and I like them to wear the way they wear. I like when my arms are just a little bit thinner. It's just me personally, those are just little tweaks I like to have. But I also really, really, really like to be a little brick house. I like to be really strong. I like to be like that silent stunner that can just like jump out and like leap into things. I like the shape that gives my body, instead of this like thin rail figure, which I don't mean in a negative way. A rail figure is literally, some people genuinely like it. That's the model look, right? So I'm not trying to be the model look with that rail thinness. I am trying to be a little bit more the yoga body, a little bit more of that CrossFit body, that calisthenics body that has just a little bit more bulk behind it, but is still, thin cut And I'm not a huge fan of super duper lines, so I don't like looking like there's no, I'm very particular about what I like about myself. And so what's really fine is just, you know, accepting that and being happy with that in your choices. You know, some people are going to want to be thinner than you. Some people want to be thicker than you. And you know what? They're both right for themselves. So no hate, no shame, no worries. And I hope you guys are all having a great weekend and remembering to take care of yourselves. That's all there is today. Cheers.